Thank you. Your next bill, Senator Bell, SB 29.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair and members. SB 29 is the second half of the behavioral health training, and this deals with the field training after they graduate from the academy. So the first bill was mainly about the academy, and this is the field training portion. So what happens when they're being trained in the field, the police officers. Madam Chair, I'm accepting the amendments reflected in the committee analysis as part of this bill. Thank you for that effort with your staff. This companion bill to SB 11 is to phase in much needed training to ensure more officers are equipped to deal with people with intellectual disabilities or mental illness. Specifically, the bill requires 20 hours dedicated towards the mental and intellectual disabilities competencies in the field training guide. It also mandates 40 hours of promising or evidence-based behavioral health training field trainers. SB 29 recognized the basic tenet in law enforcement. Officers rely on their training to cope with emergencies. And a key to an officer's preparation are field training officers. So training the trainers is very important. Furthermore, like SB 11, SB 29 calls for the training to be culturally appropriate. And I respectfully ask for your aye vote and have witnesses on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Brandon Tartaglia with Disability Rights California. We are the state's protection and advocacy agency. In our report, An Ounce of Prevention, we express how important it is for law enforcement to understand how to recognize people who have mental health or intellectual disabilities and effectively de-escalate a situation. Law enforcement is most likely the first responder to situations involving people who are experiencing mental health or other types of crisis. And because of their disability, people may not always respond to officers' instructions as they expect. For instance, a person with mental retardation may be slow to respond to instructions or may not understand them. A person with mental health disabilities may behave in ways that can be mistaken for aggression. And people who have autism may be sensitive to being touched or just may have difficulty communicating. If law enforcement personnel don't understand who they're working with and what type of crisis they're dealing with, it can jeopardize the safety of the officer and the public. Misunderstanding can quickly lead to an escalating situation with potentially dangerous results. While not a California incident, this is illustrated best by the case of Robert Ethan Saylor. He's a 26-year-old man with Down syndrome and an IQ of 40. In January of 2013, Ethan attempted to see a movie for the second time that day without paying for an additional ticket, and security was called. When he was confronted by 3 off-duty police officers working as security, the situation went horribly wrong. Ethan's aide, who was with him at the time, asked for everyone to be patient and let her handle it, but the situation escalated and the police tried to help by restraining him. He ultimately ended up dying as a result of asphyxiation. Had officers had adequate mandated training, this situation may have been avoided. Police can misinterpret the behavior of people with disabilities because they might not even recognize that the person has a disability. In the field, officers may feel the need to make quick decisions and may not have enough information about the situation they're getting into. They have to be able to recognize what type of crisis they're entering and the most effective ways to deal with it. Good training emphasizes the need to slow things down. Unfortunately, in California, there's no universal mandated training for law enforcement officers in how to respond to people in mental health crisis. Only a few agencies receive crisis intervention team training, the nationally recognized model for effective intervention, and have seen good results. However, California peace officers are only required to receive 6 out of 664 hours of basic training instructional time to cover all disabilities, and there is no follow-up refresher training after the training academy. It's time that officers are given adequate training to avoid tragic consequences. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Connie Gustafson with the California Institute for Behavioral Health Solutions. We have been involved with law enforcement and mental health collaborations for many, many years. And working to build the relationship between law enforcement and mental health is a really big deal because it's about the culture of the two organizations. We established the California CIT Association in effort to really look at training throughout California because it's very patchwork right now, and to see if we could actually standardize it or put some mandates or standards around it so that everyone is receiving the same kind of quality of training in the same amount. We propose that training needs to be incremental, because so many law enforcement officers, if we wait until they're out there on the field, like as it is right now, everyone is not being trained, and everyone does not have the kind of understanding about what it's like to be involved in a mental health crisis. So beginning an incremental process whereby there is training in the academy. You start there with the new recruits to get them comfortable with the language and begin to understand and start thinking in terms of what is mental illness, what is a disability, what might be my response. And then moving on to the field training program, which is kind of like the same thing as a practicum or an internship. We think the field trainers should be fully trained in CIT, or crisis response to a mental health crisis, fully trained, because they are the trainers and the mentors of the recruits, and it's their responsibility to indicate incidents in the field to the recruits so they understand what does a mental health crisis look like. Later on, the next level of that training would then be after the officer is in the field for a while, to really then, when he comes in contact or she comes in contact with the behavioral health crisis, to practice and then get feedback. We surveyed California. We had a survey through our organization and also the disabilities rights. And we asked officers and mental health professionals what they thought. They thought that 21% of them thought that it was an ideal time to begin training in the academy. 36% were also in agreement that officers definitely needed training in the field contact program. That's where they do their scenarios, that's where they can get feedback. And 89% thought training should be continued once an officer was seasoned in the field. We know that recruits can't hold everything in their minds in academy, but we want to plant that seed and continue to nurture that seed, that once they get out there in our communities, they begin to know exactly what to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Kurosaki, California Institute for Behavioral Health Solutions, Madam Chair. I just wanted to highlight some of the findings that we had from a report that we recently produced. We also, in addition to surveying California, as I spoke to earlier, we also looked at some of the best practices outside of California. And I wanted to just list some of the benefits of CIT training. Crisis response times are reduced, reduction in rates for taser use, reduction in rates for use of restraints, reduction in the rates of citizen injuries, reduction in officer injury rates as well, increased in the rates of diversion to treatment versus being taken into custody, increase in the positive perceptions among mental health consumers of law enforcement, and improved perceptions within the community of law enforcement as well, in some of the findings outside of California.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Renfrey with the County Behavioral Health Directors Association of California, in support for the reasons already well articulated.
Thank you.
John Lovell, on behalf of the California College and University Police Chiefs Association, the California Association of Code Enforcement Officers, the California Correctional Supervisors Organization, Los Angeles Police Protective League, Association for Los Angeles Deputy Sheriffs, and the Riverside Sheriff's Association, and consider this companion testimony to the companion bill. We commend the author for bringing this forward.
Amanda Levy on behalf of the California Psychological Association. We're in support of this bill, and I wasn't able to give our support for SB 11. Both bills. Thank you.
Thank you. Others in support? Probably you could just do Me Too's at this point.
Greg DeGere with the American United Cerebral Palsy. Me too.
Daniel Savino, Association of Regional Center Agencies. Me too.
Philippe Foster-Guy, California Public Defenders Association. Me as well.
On behalf of the Steinberg Institute, I'm Maggie Merritt. Me too.
Rebecca Gonzalez, National Association of Social Workers, California Chapter, in support.
Chauncey Smith, ACLU of California, in support.
Stuart Thompson, California Medical Association, in support.
Kim Rutledge with AFSCME Local 3930, in support.
Child with autism and mental retardation, and I rise in support of both bills and urge all of you to support them as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Sherman on behalf of Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriffs. Let me start over. Los Angeles County Professional Peace Officer Association, Sacramento County Deputy Sheriffs, Santa Ana and Long Beach, and the California Fraternal Order of Police, all in support. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there others in support of the bill? Are there speakers in opposition to the bill? Please come forward.
Good morning again, Madam Chair, members. Corey Salzillo on behalf of the California State Sheriff's Association. In the interest of the committee's time, I will simply, I guess, me too my testimony from the prior bill, since I don't have anybody else to rely on. And I will just again note that we should be looking at the deficiencies in existing law in California. And I would also commend to your attention the fact that, as you know all too well, as the chair of Sub 5, that the post-budget as funded by the Peace Officers Training Fund is about to be insolvent. And so adding this additional significant training requirements without fiscal consideration will just serve to exacerbate those financial difficulties. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there? Senator Anderson.
Senator, I'd like to be added as a co-author, and I'm prepared to move the bill when you're ready.
Thank you. And any other comments or questions? Senator Leno.
Perfect companion piece. We know training works. Training starts with the trainer. Please add me as a co-author as well.
Yes. And Senator Bell, I'd like to be a co-author of this bill as well. It is a very important companion bill. You know, I often make comparisons of education and corrections because there are so many ways in which they're alike. This bill is the kind of coaching that we do with beginning teachers sometimes, and it's so important for their success and retention in the field. We know that. To enable this training for young officers and to make sure that their field trainers are prepared for their important responsibilities, I think it's very, very good that these two bills are coming forward together. The motion is do pass as amended to appropriations. Oh, Senator Stone.
Madam Chair, sorry, I'm a little far to the right over here. That's okay. I'll just say ditto. Again, commending the author, and the training starts at the top, and I think that we're going to see better outcomes because of these two bills. And please add me as a co-author as well.
Okay. So the motion is do pass as amended to appropriations. Please read the roll.
Hancock?
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson?
Aye.
Anderson, aye. Leno? Aye. Leno, aye. Liu? McGuire? Monning? Aye. Monning, aye. Stone?
Aye.
Stone, aye.
5-0, that bill was on call for the absent members. Thank you, Senator Bell. I don't think, I'm looking, Senator Mitchell is here. Welcome to the committee, Senator Mitchell. This is number 5, SB 176.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you SB 176, a bill which will help protect minor witnesses of a crime from being re-victimized during a criminal proceeding. Under current law, a minor victim of a violent or sex crime can testify via closed-circuit television. This allows the minor victim to testify without being subjected to being in the same room as the accused perpetrator, a person who may have caused physical or mental distress to that minor. This bill would expand upon that law by protecting minor witnesses of a violent or sex crime, allowing them to testify via closed-circuit television with the judge's permission. This legislation was inspired by a court case from Fresno where a child of a father who was murdered in front of her was forced to take the witness stand face-to-face against the man who murdered her father. Opposition has expressed concern that expanding current code to allow for minor witnesses as well impinges on a defendant's right to confrontation and will make it impossible to adequately represent a defendant with child witnesses. According to the committee analysis, one trial court has already used this model, and an appellate court upheld their decision to do so. Closed-circuit television does still allow for a minor witness to be questioned and cross-examined. We believe a courtroom should not be the place where a child is forced to face a defendant for which the child was a witness to a violent or sexual offense of the accused, solely to draw an emotional reaction from the child to play to the jury. With me today is Melina Blake from Californians for Safety and Justice and Jody Catchaside to testify in support of the bill. I ask for your aye vote.
Witnesses in support.
Can I move this? Short people problems. Good morning. My name is Jody Catchaside, and in July of 2013, my daughters, who were then 6 and 8, were identified as witnesses in their father's murder case. Initially, my daughter Sadie, who was 7 at the time, was identified as a witness to testify. I asked for concessions. I asked that there be a partition in the room. I asked that the defendant be removed from the room. I asked for testimony in chambers. I asked for closed-circuit television. And I was told each time that there was nothing that could be done, that he had a right to face his accuser, even if she was 7. So I was being asked to go against every maternal instinct that I had and put my child in a wooden box 20 feet away from me with a murderer in between us, where I couldn't hold her and make her feel safe. When I refused, when Sadie started experiencing anxiety over the prospect of testifying and sleeplessness and waking up saying that her tummy hurt because she felt like she was in trouble, I refused to allow her to testify, and I was told that I'd be taken to jail. So for protecting my child, I was going to be criminalized. This would have cost me my job. I work for a nonprofit, and I could have lost everything, but I was willing to put it all on the line to protect her so that she didn't have to face the man who killed her hero. She was terrified. Recently, we did accept a plea bargain in the case. I kind of pushed for that plea bargain because there was nothing I could do to protect my daughter. There was no keeping her out of the courtroom. I was fighting the system alone, and no one would help me. I would have been much more cooperative had there been something in place to keep Sadie from having to face this man who was, the scariest person in the world for her. Little girls, their fathers are the most powerful man they've ever met, and this man took him out for her. So this whole experience changed the way I interacted with the system. I have a degree in victimology. I knew how to navigate the system. I thought I knew what I was up against, but I had pretty much lost faith in it, and I felt like I was just kind of running up against a brick wall over and over and over again. And when our forefathers wrote the Constitution and said that a defendant has a right to face their accuser, never in a million years would they have thought that that accuser would be a 7-year-old child. We protected them better then. And SB 176 will put children's safety and emotional well-being as a priority again. It'll make children feel safe with our justice system and give them a system to respect. And it'll also create parents that are more willing to cooperate with the justice system so that the prosecutions are appropriate and that people don't feel bullied into taking a plea deal that doesn't make sense. So I ask for your aye vote on SB 176. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming to share your story. Those are important for us. Thanks.
Good morning, Melina Blake with Californians for Safety and Justice. We are the sponsor of the bill, and I'm not going to say much because I think Jody did a fantastic job, but just to say that this is also supported by Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, which is our statewide network of over 6,000 crime survivors. So thank you, and ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Others in support?
Madam Chair, members, Marty Varanikar on behalf of the California District Attorneys Association, we're in support of this measure. This measure would provide, we feel, much needed support to child witnesses who testify in criminal proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you. Others in support of the bill? Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Cassie Morgan of Fresno, California, and I support this bill.
Good morning. My name is Gabriella McNeil from Fresno, California, and I also support the bill.
I'm Kathy Hall, and I represent the California State PTA on behalf of our over 800,000 members. We're in support of this bill.
Thank you.
I'm Kim Lewis, representing the California Coalition for Youth, which advocates on behalf of youth rights throughout the state and support of the bill.
Rebecca Gonzalez, National Association of Social Workers, California chapter, in support.
Madam Chair, members, Dan Filisato on behalf of the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office in support.
Thank you. Others in support? Seeing and hearing none, are there speakers in opposition to the bill? Yeah. No.
John Lovell on behalf of the California College and University Police Chiefs Association in slow-moving support.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. Khalif Asagai on behalf of the California Public Defenders Association in opposition. We are respectful of the purpose of this bill. We believe that protecting child witnesses is a laudable goal for the California courts. However, we believe that under the existing case law, People v. Lujan, courts already have the opportunity to weigh the trauma of the child victim against the fairness of the right of confrontation to the defendant. In this case, expanding it to witnesses would critically impair our ability to adequately represent our clients. By testifying via closed-circuit television, while the jury would have an opportunity to observe the reactions of the child, there is something palpable about being in the room and being able to understand the emotional responses of the child. This is not an effort to bully or re-traumatize children, but simply the case will not always be as clear-cut in every situation. There are some circumstances where things may not be as they are in this particular case. We understand that this case is extremely unfair, and I send my condolences to the family, having experienced the loss of a parent in a much less traumatic way, but we have a job to do, which is to represent our clients to the best of their ability, and the only way to be able to do that is to be able to cross-examine witnesses in the presence of the jury, where they can truly understand the veracity of the testimony being delivered by the witness, whether adult or child. So we urge your no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there Senator Stone and Senator Anderson?
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Sure. Can you tell me the limitations to cross-examining a juvenile via a closed-circuit television?
Well,
and the jury will be able to see the mannerisms, I believe, of the child, won't they?
Certainly. I think that there's a difference between watching somebody on TV and being able to pick up their energy versus seeing them in person. As you know, courtrooms are very charged places, especially during the context of these trials, and we believe that an in-person opportunity.
Is the mic actually on?
Sure. Yeah, I believe so.
Good.
But an in-person opportunity would give a better read on the veracity of the testimony than over closed circuit.
I agree with you that I think it might be a better read, but I think with the enhanced technology of televisions that we use today, you can see pretty clearly one's emotions, one's mannerisms, and it seems to me that one would want to be sensitive to basically making a child relive a horrific incident in their life that could have lasting impressions on their mental state for the rest of their lives. So while there may be a slight trade-off, it doesn't seem to me that it would be jeopardizing anything for your clients. And I say that with a son that's a deputy DA, and I've seen him in court, and I've seen him, unfortunately, have juveniles on the stand, and they're trained, many of them, to deal with juveniles in a very sensitive way.
Certainly.
But then again, he's one individual, and there are some attorneys that may not be as sensitive when they're fighting for their clients, and these children can be traumatized, especially when they see someone that has perpetuated a horrific crime in their presence. So while I appreciate your testimony today, I think the technology today lends credibility to your ability to cross-examine without any jeopardization to your case.
Thank you for your question.
Senator Anderson?
Senator, I'd like to be added as a co-author, and I'm prepared to move the bill when the chair is ready.
Okay, the motion is do pass. Any other comments?
Yes,
Senator Stone.
Thank you, Senator. I would also be honored to be a co-author. I want to commend Senator Mitchell and Anderson, I see here, as an author in bringing this forward. And I'm so sorry to hear about the horrific circumstances that have brought you here for this bill. But I appreciate your courage in coming here. Godspeed to your children. This is a very appropriate bill to minimize the further traumatization of children that witness some of the most horrific crimes. And so I'm very honored to sign on to this and happy to help marshal it through in the best interest of our kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from Senator Leno?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, so existing law gives the court authority to be able to determine that this could have substantial impact on the child victim. And you wish to extend that same authority to the court. Doesn't require anything. It's a permissive bill, gives the court that further authority in the circumstance of a child witness.
Correct, Senator. And in the case of People versus Lesion, as reflected in the committee analysis, we also don't want courts to have to have their decisions reviewed by the appellate court in using this the closed circuit television option for children who are witnesses. And so, yes, it's optional for the court to make the determination if it's feasible in whatever the case may be.
And they have to find clear and convincing evidence that. So clearly, for all of the reasons that were already described here, the serious potential impact on child witnesses, and that for those of us who believe there should be greater discretion within the courtroom, I will be supporting the bill today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. The motion is do pass. This bill has not been amended, so as the bill moves forward.
I'll be happy to add those who express interest today as the bill moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Please call the roll.
Hancock.
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson.
Aye.
Anderson, aye. Leno.
Aye.
Leno, aye. Liu. McGuire. Monning.
Aye.
Monning, aye. Stone.
Aye.
Stone, aye.
That bill has enough votes to pass. We'll hold the roll open for the
Thank you very
absent
much,
members.
Madam Chair and members. Appreciate it.
Thank you. No, we don't. Senator Block will be back in a little while. And have we had a vote yet on the consent calendar? No. The consent calendar has been moved. Please read the roll.
Hancock.
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson.
Aye.
Anderson, aye. Leno.
Aye.
Leno, aye. Liu. McGuire. Monning.
Aye.
Monning, aye. Stone.
Aye.
Okay. That bill has enough votes to pass. We'll hold the roll open for the absent members.